Hello, and welcome back to another video on Enter the Gungeon's unused content. Since the last voiced video got pretty good feedback, I'm doing that again for this video, but I've taken some of your advice and upped the volume a little bit. This video is going to be focusing on a smaller collection of unused stuff, namely the collection of unused shrines that the game has, because there's a surprising amount of them. I'm also going to be going into pre-alpha statues at the end, but I'll talk about them when I get to them. The first unused shrine we have to look at is the Beholster Shrine. This shrine was used in the game's pre-alpha and was an early version of the Loadin Shrine that we have in the game today, and functioned identically, giving you full ammo in exchange for some curse. I'll show you a clip of it in the pre-alpha being used. The next shrine I want to look at is the Beholster Shrine. Now, this shrine has been in the files since launch, but it got a bit more development when AG&D came out. In the text dumps for the game, you can find the shrine text that would have come up upon interacting with this shrine. A shrine to the evil eye, the sphere of many guns, the Beholster. It appears each arm of the shrine could hold a weapon. And your two options would have been place a gun on the statue and the typical turn away. In AG&D, it was also possible to find stony versions of all the guns the Beholster usually holds: the machine pistol, the commando, the Eye of the Beholster, the M9, the Void Marshal, and the M1911. It's unknown whether you'd need to place these specific guns onto the statue, whether or not this could have been done over multiple runs, or what this would have done if you put all the guns onto the statue. Moving on, we have the Death Shrine, which depicts a gun reaper. Might be related to the unused Lord of the Jammed Shrine, which I'm going to get onto later, but its effects are currently unknown. The Eyeless Shrine, with an unknown effect depicting an unknown character. You're going to be getting that a lot in this video. A lot of these shrines are just sprites that we don't know what they would have done. Lead Shrine. Now, this shrine is made of a darker material, probably lead, and it seems to depict either ox, or, as you can see from the rib-like structures, a skeletal version of ox with big old muscles, and a particularly strong right hand. It also had an unknown effect. Loadin Shrine. Now, this shrine is obviously parodying Odin from Norse mythology. The two ravens with him are likely Hugin and Munin, his signature ravens, and the wolf is either Jerry or Freki, two wolves that are supposed to go with him. I said those names probably extremely wrong. Feel free to tell me how wrong I did in fact get those names. But anyways, this shrine has been in the files since launch, but like the Beholster Shrine, it got a bit updated after the AG&D update. The only real update that we got for Loadin was he got a different sprite. The sprite has more detail, has him with only one raven, and has him holding a gun instead of a spear. Next up, we have this very bizarre looking no-gun shrine. Its effect is currently unknown, but I have a couple theories. My best guesses are either 1, it had an effect that took one or more of the player's guns, or 2, had an effect that benefited the player if they had no guns. Now, since having no guns is a thing pretty exclusive to the pre-alpha, either my second theory is completely wrong, or this no-gun shrine concept dates back to the pre-alpha. Moving swiftly onwards, we have this shrine called the Shield Heart Shrine, depicting two bulletkin holding up a smiling piece of armor. My best guess for what this shrine could have done is maybe it converted hearts into armor, but again, we don't really have any idea. The Snakechamber Shrine. Now, this depicts a snake biting its own tail, the Ouroboros, around the chamber of a gun. Its effect is unknown, but strangely enough, Ouroboros, representing infinity, is a symbol that seems fairly important in Gungeon. It even features prominently on the cover of the Ammonomicon. But then again, so does a pentagram, so that probably doesn't hold much weight. Moving on to the shrines that I found only after the AG&D update, we have this shrine that I wasn't able to find the name of in the files that depicts an elven-looking woman loading a missile into a bow. Its effect is unknown. Again, I couldn't find the name for this shrine, but it seems to depict a woman with a fish on her head holding a shell filled with more shells. It might be a reference to Aquarius, though that's just a vague guess. I could be completely wrong. Again, its effect is unknown. Here's that Lord of the Jammed shrine I mentioned earlier. It's only been in the file since AG&D, and it depicts the Lord of the Jammed, as you probably figured out. Its effect is unknown, but would probably have something to do with curse. Now, those were all the shrines that seem completely unique in being unused. But in this next section, I'm going to go over some early designs for shrines that we actually have in the game, starting off with this, the Unused Hero Shrine. It's an unused design for the Hero Shrine found in the first room of every run, and you can tell because it's crumbly. It probably would have functioned the same way, but don't take my word on that. Next up is the Unused Peace Shrine, depicting a blindfolded bullet with an olive branch. It probably functioned the same way as the modern version, allowing you to sacrifice a gun and get health back, but again, we don't know, we can only speculate. Here we have the Unused Blank Shrine, depicting an actual blank going off instead of old red. Now, I think this might have functioned slightly differently to the modern Blank Shrine, because I found this in the text dumps. Shrine offer blank. Offer a blank at the altar. Now, with the modern Blank Shrine, you don't get this option, you have to use the blank in the same room as the shrine. This seems to imply that originally the Blank Shrine was supposed to behave a lot more mundanely, simply you press a button and give up a blank. Finally in this section, I want to talk about the Unused Blood Shrine. It looks very similar to the modern version of the Blood Shrine added in AG&D, but it is actually slightly different, as you can see when I show them side by side. On the left is the unused version, and on the right is the one that they actually put into the game. Now, I'm fairly sure that this was supposed to function differently than it did after being implemented, because I found this in the text dumps. An ominous fountain, filled with blood. You're so thirsty. With the option of drink. Regain health. Now, the modern Blood Shrine does not do this. You don't get that text, you get different text, and you do not drink the blood. I don't think you drink the blood. Let me look that up. No, you don't drink from the modern Blood Shrine. And as far as I'm aware, the modern Blood Shrine doesn't regain health straight away. So it seems like this original Blood Shrine would have had a very different effect, possibly healing in exchange for curse. Now, those are all the unused shrines I have for you, but the video's not over quite yet. I wanted to talk about something that I didn't think quite deserved its own video, and it fits thematically with this one, so I'm going to put it on the end here. In the game's pre-alpha, you could find decorative statues depicting different enemies from the Gungeon. They did nothing, you couldn't interact with them, I don't even think you could break them. They were just there, you'd find them in chest rooms and occasionally combat rooms. I just wanted to go through them now, just to show you. These first three statues depict a Bulletkin with a sword and shield, a Blobulon with a staff and crown, and the unused bat enemy, which would eventually evolve into the Bullat, with a spear. Somehow. There's not much to note other than the Bulletkin is most definitely cursed and has very thick eyebrows. Also, the Blobulon statue is called Statue Blobuloid Crown, meaning they may have switched around the names of the Blobulon and Blobuloid. And finally, we have a pinhead with a staff and another object that I can't quite make out, but might be a shield, a rubberkin wearing an eye patch and holding a bow, and a shotgunkin with an axe. Now, the last one, the shotgunkin with the axe, is very reminiscent of the executioners added in Supply Drop, but the statue was from the pre-alpha. Look at him, he's even wearing the executioner garb. The only difference between that shotgunkin and an executioner is he has a regular axe as opposed to the huntsman. There are three possibilities. Either the Gungeon devs knew they wanted to add in executioners from the pre-alpha days, they looked back on this statue and decided to base an enemy off of it, or it is a complete coincidence that they gave the shotgunkin an almost identical getup to an enemy they would later design. So, yeah, this has been this video on unused shrines. I hope my voice was a bit better this time. I'm getting more confident with speaking. I'm not the most confident with speaking, as you've probably guessed from the little stutters every now and again. But yes, I'd love to hear what you think of these. I'd love to hear what you think some of them would have done. I hope we get to see these in the future. It's especially suspicious the amount of stuff they added into the files during AG&D that they never ended up using. Like, we've got a whole collection of unused shrines and unused Gungeoneers added into the files and the game technically in the AG&D update, but are unobtainable without cheating. It's just, like, weird that they'd add so much stuff and then not use it. But I suppose the synergies probably took up a lot of time, considering how in-depth they went with them. Anyways, see ya!